Well, that was quite the opening, wasn't it? Now, I already have purchased this, and I'll be doing a giveaway in the community in our Discord server as well. For one person the day that this is being put up. So if you see this video, and it's today, and it's within 24 hours, we will be doing a giveaway of this. Actually, you know what? Probably within an hour of this being released. So as you can see, it would show up as new here. So let's go into the characters and look at what the new ones are, right? We got these two. Thalita and Renato. Okay, so we got siblings. And then we've got the Skull Merchant. So let's go ahead and quickly look at these and see what their abilities are. Friendly competition. You revel in the community spirit of a competition and inspire others to follow suit. Whenever you finish a generator with at least one other survivor, this perk activates. You and other survivors who finish repairing the generator get increased repair progress for 75 seconds. Survivors can only have one instance of this at a time. Teamwork power of 2. I like this. So she's a teamwork character, so probably I'm going to be playing her quite a bit. It's hard to keep up with you. It doesn't stop people from trying. Whenever you finish healing another survivor, you both move 5% faster as long as you stay within 12 meters of each other. Can only be triggered once every 140 seconds. You get into enough trouble, you know how to get out of it. After performing a rushed vault in a chase, this perk activates. While this perk activates, your rushed vaults are silent for up to 6 seconds, and performing a successful rushed vault during that time resets the timer. This perk's cooldown is... okay, but it doesn't have the exhausted effect. Let's read her story real quick. If you were to ask, Thalita Lyra would tell you that she wanted... would tell you what she wanted in life, more than anything, was to bring people together. Whether it was her father selling out clubs for the latest Foro band she'd signed, or her mother showing off Botafogo, Lapa, and Ipanema to groups of tourists from around the world. Thalita loved seeing people come together to share their passion and form meaningful connections. As a teenager, Thalita found her community through kite fighting. Her uncle Ignacio taught, maybe it's Thalita, but I believe it's Thalita, and her younger brother Renato to settle their petty squabbles through making kites and flying them into each other until someone's string was cut and the winner is decided. Thalita and Renato would spend their summers in Ignacio's beachfront kite shop, working in the mornings and fighting kites in the afternoon. Their antics caught the attention of kids and adults alike, and it wasn't long before Thalita started teaching kite fighting at the shop. Eager to this is a long story. Eager to connect with even more people, Thalita would film these fights and post them online. Free publicity, she told her uncle. Little did Thalita know that her kite fighting videos would be her ticket to stardom. Videos that featured her and her commentary would get more hits, with viewers commenting on Thalita's kite fighting insights and her charm. The videos caught the eye of a modeling agent. Before she knew it, Thalita was booking photo shoots for printing ads and appearing in commercials. She loved the work and knew it wouldn't be long before she could transition to acting. Then she would be capital F famous, like the stars on telenovelas she watched growing up. Her community would span all of Brazil and maybe even beyond. But it was not to be. Little by little, modeling took Thalita further from the kite shop. First, she had to give up playing then the, to let the nicks on her hands heal. Then she had to spend her days networking, schmoozing, and lining up gigs well in advance. By the time Thalita graduated high school, her agent was eager to get her to even more work, which meant less time at the kite shop. All this hard work and dedication will be worth it, she told herself. Years passed in a flurry. Thalita was burned out and sick of awkward stares and lingering glances from strangers. Fame, it would seem, was not as glamorous as she thought it would be. Late nights talking with Renato helped her realize what it was she was missing: connection, genuine connection with like-minded people. That is what her father and mother drew. That is how her father and mother drew people to them, and kite fighting was that connection Talia, Thalita needed with others. Talia is the League of Legends character. Wrong character. Within a few short months, Thalita had quit modeling, used her money to open up her own shop, with Ignacio's blessing, of course, and brought Renato on as her business partner, making fun of kites. Fun Kites Rio became the premier destination for kite fighting materials, and Thalita's fame helped attract even more people. To the hobby. Whoops, got distracted. It's a great start, but Thalita always wanted to reach even more people. Fun Kite Rio's first tournament was a success, drawing hundreds of participants to the outskirts of Rio. Sorry, I pressed down because I wanted to pause, but it took me to the next page. Give me a moment. Okay, Rio's. To watch dozens upon dozens of kites, which danced in the sky. In between socializing with old friends and new friends, helping at the concession stands, and even playing a match or two, Thalita found a few moments to cry happy tears by herself. She had done it. This is exactly the community she wanted to create. By the time the sun set and the tournament came to a close, the field was covered in litter. Thalita and Ronaldo stayed behind to clean up. The moon was the full moon was high in the sky when Renato noticed something: a strange drone floating over the field. Thalita's mischievous childhood self came roaring back. Time for a challenge. A race to take down the drone. Renato couldn't help but accept. In the end, Thalita's kite was the one to get caught in the drone rotor's blades. She cheered as Renato watched the thing sputter into the forest, leaving a trail of smoke as it went. Thalita didn't want to look for the fallen drone. She was happy to leave her kite behind, but Renato walked off to the trees on his own, and Thalita couldn't let her brother wander the deep, dark forest by himself. Deep in the woods. Renato. I don't know why it said Ronaldo. Renato found more than just the drone. Thalita heard a scream and watched as a man drenched in blood emerged from the forest. He grabbed her brother, desperate for help, but it was already too late. Thalita nearly screamed as the man split in two and a woman stepped forward, covered in high-tech hunting gear. Why wasn't Renato moving? She grabbed her brother and ran. After another drone floated overhead, like the one she had downed with her kite. They were the hunter's eyes. She had plucked one of them from the sky. Renato was in shock. Thalita saw that his arm had been cut deeply. When? It didn't matter. He was bleeding, and they needed to get to safety. That was when she saw the factory, a rotting brick building collapsing under the weight of time. That's the new map, right? kind of cool, to be honest. Excited about that. Thalita led Renato into the factory and found a dark alcove to hide. The hunter followed, and she dragged some wooden beams across the entrance. The only way out. Blocked off, Thalita knew time was running out. If the hunter didn't find them first, her drone would. Thalita peeked from their alcove. The factory was changing, its dark, dingy walls dissolving into a bright, sunny landscape, a beach. She found her resolve, a way out, a chance to survive. All she had to do was run. Thalita put her arm around Renato and pulled him to his feet. She thought she heard Renato telling her to stop, but she ignored him. This was their chance. They ran along the beach, leaving the hunter behind, kicking up warm sand with each stride. Thalita never stopped running, not even when the sand turned into a swirling black fog. Okay, well that's Thalita's backstory at 12 minutes. That's good. Okay, just taking a note. And now we're going to move backwards to Renato. First, let's start with Renato's perks. Right, cat? Staring at me? We have Blood Rush. Your mind, and body are honed for great feats, allowing you to push through with extra effort when necessary. This perk activates once you are one hook away from instant death. Okay. So, while healthy and running and suffering from exhaustion, press the ability to lose the health state and recover from exhaustion instantly and gain the broken status effect. You are automatically healed from injured to healthy after 20 seconds. Okay, activating Blood Rush will disable it for the remainder of the trial. That was Blood Rush. Okay. Teamwork, Collective. Okay. Teamwork, Collective Stealth. When someone helps you out, you respond in kind. Whenever another survivor finishes healing you, you both leave no scratch marks as long as you stay within 12 meters of the survivor who healed you. So it looks like the new mechanic that they're attempting to install into the game is teamwork, which means you stay together next to each other. That can only be triggered once every 140 seconds, just like Thalita's. Now, background player. This is me. You're not usually the center of attention, in some cases this can be a good thing. When the killer picks up another survivor, background player activates. When you start running, break into a sprint at 150% of your normal running speed for 4 seconds and gain exhaustion. Okay, so you could use background player into Blood Rush. To remove the exhaustion. Is that what I'm getting? Alright, so time for his story. Give me a second. I'm gonna drink some water real quick. In order to do that, I have to hit pause. Okay, growing up, Renato acted less like a child and more like a scientist, studying the world and people around him as my cat attacks a phone cord. He would poke classmates in the face or stand too close to them, curious to see their reaction. It was no surprise that young Renato had a hard time making friends. He was often the target of bullies, especially when he started advancing through school, sitting in classes with kids a year or two older than him, and still performing them, did not ingratiate Renato with his peers. Renato, who enjoyed two things, solving puzzles and annoying his older sister Thalita, it was his way of showing love. Renato saw how easily Thalita won over kids and adults alike and wanted to be like her, so when Thalita started to take an interest in flying kites, Renato did too. His parents knew Renato needed help socializing when he turned 13. They volunteered Renato to work at Uncle Ignacio's kite shop on the beach during the summer. Thalita was making new friends there. Maybe he would too. Instead, Thalita spent the day telling Renato what to do, which annoyed him more than anything. The bickering got so bad that Uncle Ignacio had to teach them the art of kite fighting to settle their differences. Renato loved it immediately. He enjoyed kite fighting so much he didn't even mind when he lost. As Ignacio expected, they started to fight less and play more. If only Renato had such luck with other people. Thalita would tell him to stop being so competitive with the little kids they were teaching to fight. But Renato wouldn't listen. He hated it when anyone told him what to do. When Toledo... Hold on, sorry. Somebody called. I'm going to put that on airplane mode. He hated it when anyone told him what to do. Yeah, when Toledo started spending less time at the shop to focus on her modeling, Renato had to step up as a teacher. More than anything, would hear how much everyone missed his sister. Renato graduated from high school 2 years early, and his parents suggested he take some more time to do charitable work. University, or an early career, could wait. Renato just wanted to be left alone and treated like an adult. Thalita suggested that Renato find a place to play guitar. If he could practice his guitar playing, and put himself out there. Thalita promised the family would stop telling him what to do all the time. This was music to his ears. Hey, nice pun. That's a good one. Renato decided to volunteer at a local retirement home. First, he played guitar for the residents. Then he stated helping out in the kitchen, and before he knew it, Renato was learning what it meant to truly care about other people. To make the effort to help others without getting anything in return. For the first time, Renato felt like he had the power to make other people's lives better. I paused again because I saw that it was my grandparents calling. So, thanks for being patient. So, it was a couple seconds to you. Anyway, Renato decided to volunteer at a local retirement home. First, he played guitar for the residents, then he started helping out in the kitchen, and before he knew it, Renato was learning what it meant to truly care about people, to make the effort to help others without getting anything in return. For the first time, Renato felt like he had the power to make other people's lives better. This new insight came in handy when Thalita was at the crossroads of her own. She wanted to pursue modeling and acting, but she missed the kite shop more than anything else. Renato didn't do anything more than listen when Thalita needed someone to talk to. But after many late nights and long chats, Thalita emerged with a new sense of purpose. When Thalita approached him to be a partner in her new venture, a kite fighting shop called Fun Kites Rio, Renato accepted immediately. Building a business from scratch would be the ultimate puzzle. Renato's analytical mind helped this shop in those early months. He encouraged Thalita to use her fame as a model to help market the shop and book her into conventions and symposiums across the country to get the word out on Fun Kites Rio. Over time, the shop built up such a following that when Thalita suggested they stage a kite fighting tournament, it seemed like a no-brainer. The tournament was a flurry of activity. All day, friends and strangers alike would approach Renato and thank him for his hard work. Kite fighting meant something to these people. It made their lives better, and Renato contributed to their overall happiness and well-being. Before he knew it, the tournament was over and the moon was high in the sky. It didn't matter that he was tired or hungry or out in some remote field picking up garbage. It was all worth it. He only stopped cleaning when he noticed something above, a drone. It made him think of the games he'd play with Thalita growing up. They using their kites to take down remote planes. kites of people on the beach that they didn't like, and so on. Thalita must have been thinking the same thing. She challenged him to see who would take down the drone. Another chance to show up his sister. The perfect end to the perfect day. But no, it was a mistake. Renato felt a chill. He tried to stop Thalita, but she was already cheering. The drone ate up her kite and began its crooked, smoking descent into the forest. They were in trouble. It was only when he ran for the forest that Thalita sobered up and followed. It didn't take long to find the drone embedded in a tree, kite dangling from its dead rotor blades. The sharp string dug into Renato's fingers as he worked on the knots. He had nearly had the kite free when a bloody hand reached out from the dark and grabbed him. Renato jumped at the sight of the injured man. He was raving, babbling, desperate for help. But Renato put his hands out to keep the man from falling. It was already too late. Two blades sliced through the man and Renato's arm. There was no time to look down at the wounds. The blades were up in the air. The man was cut in half. A woman clad in armor, accompanied by the drone. Like the drone, Thalita down, was standing before him. Renato knew he had to move, but he couldn't. The time was running out. He felt another hand on him, pulling him back. Everything was a blur. The cut on his arm was deep and throbbing, but he knew Thalita had him. He knew he had to run. The night grew cold as they stopped to hide. Renato struggled to regain his breath, but there was no time. Quickly, as they stopped, Thalita was pulling him again towards an abandoned factory. There are no factories out here, Renato thought to himself. The factory was even older than the forest. He clutched his arm, trying to stop the bleeding. His head was swimming. How much blood had he already lost? Thalita was guarding him in some dark corner of a factory, and suddenly she was pulling Renato to his feet, telling him to run. Run where? She had said something about a beach. Renato tried to stop her, pulling her back, but he was too weak. He couldn't see any beach. All he could see was a black fog closing in on them. So real quick, let's go over their outfits and their cosmetics. Sibling collection. All like kind of Hawaiian crop top themed. Nice. Honestly, she might be the next person I work on because I really love her perks. And I might work on trying to build up her as my second prestige, which would be kind of cool. It's going to take a while. A long time. But eventually we'll get her up. And then let's go look at Ronaldo's. Okay. Swimsuit, little cross. This is a nice shirt. A bit too bright for my taste. I love the, like, tsunami, the wave pants. Little patchwork pants. Those are cool too. Now, I know that was super brief, but there wasn't much to see. Right now, at least. I'm sure they'll add more. So, let's move on to the Skull Merchant. As you can see, yeah. On to the Skull Merchant. Let's start since we're in the outfits. We'll use that as a transition to go to her. Black and red, that's nice. Okay, let's switch over to her information. This one's kind of a bit shorter. Let's start with her perks again, and no, let's start with the backstory and save the best part for the last. This looks like a I don't want to show you guys too much, but there you go. If you want to pause and look at it, you can look at it now. The self-made millionaire, Adriana Imai, I'm guessing Imai, came from a humble home in Fortzilla, Brazil. Her father, Cieda, moved from Brazil as a young man, hoping to see a side of the world completely different from his own hometown in Hokkaido. A talented illustrator, he spent his spare time designing colorful characters and building worlds. While sketching patrons of a local jazz club, he was approached by Belinda, the owner, to work on a logo. What began as a business partnership soon became a romantic one, and within a couple of years, Adriana was born. Adriana was excellent in all facets of education. A house full of art and music honed a brilliant mind. Her intelligence was only exceeded by her obsessive drive to be the best. While scoring at the top of every class, she was often on the receiving end of disciplinary action due to her overly competitive and sometimes violent nature during schoolyard games. That's already kind of the foretelling of somebody who's interested in torture games. I mean, not really, but could be. Adriana's mother did her best to keep her on the right track, but her father was increasingly absent, and his own obsessive drive ramped up. Adept, a manga about a young girl who saves and protects the weak with her quirky robot companion, despite working long hours at a canning facility and writing his manga in his spare time. He somehow managed a little time every night to share his wild and highly imaginative illustrations with his daughter. By middle school, Adriana was courted by a fancy private school. Due to her performance and needing money, Sierra spoke to publishers about his unpublished manuscripts. He managed to find a small local publisher to carry Adivalente, but it meant more work than he could handle. He eventually lost his job at the cannery, giving him more time to develop and illustrate the series. Adriana loved the manga, but the family was forced into hard times. In her final semester, Sierra requested higher royalties, but the publishing company went into administration and decided to cut the series. No longer able to afford the school fees, Adriana was pulled out of the elite academy where she was at the top of her class. Belinda was able to negotiate her graduation, but another student was able to take her place ahead of the class. Adriana was furious. On summer break, she learned everything about her rival, where he lived, where he hung out, what he liked to do in his spare time, what he listened to, what he watched, everything. She even stalked him on his way home one late summer evening, but considered the myriad ways she could ruin his life. But in the end, she did nothing. Though something awakened within her, and she felt the anti-hero in a new story her father had been exploring. Felt like the anti-hero. Sierra retreated further into himself and began producing this darker manga inspired by his visions and nightmares. A manga about a woman who hunts and guts the weak in a nightmarish realm with drones made of salvaged skulls and bones. But unable to sell his manga, Sonjadores Sombríos, I don't know what that is, maybe somber skulls, the family became solely reliant on Belinda's income. Adriana, looking for ways to make her own money, started a website dedicated to the world of Brazilian manga. It became a runaway success, and significant advertising dollars started to roll in. She realized she had no real interest in writing for it, though. She convinced other kids to write it for free, while the money flooded in. The second she got an offer, she sold the site and never looked back. Proud of her accomplishment, she came home to show her parents the check. She never got a chance to show her father, though. He walked out the door that morning, never to return, leaving only a stack of unpublished manuscripts about the Skull Merchant, endlessly hunting those she deemed worthy of her efforts. To help her mother, Adriana began studying in the library, teaching herself investment and economics. and soon tripled her money. By the age of 18, she was with barely a high school degree, she had already become a self-made millionaire. As stories of this investment wonderkind spread across Brazil, more and more doors opened for her. Long before she had the kind of money that allowed her to buy small companies she would get replaced with non-union workers and sell at a profit. The only break she took from her corporate obsession was to pore over her father's manuscripts, trying to understand this chilling world he had created. By her mid-20s, she was regularly flipping companies while finalizing on a real estate firm. While finalizing on a real estate firm, two members of the board moved to block the sale, pointing to the trail of hollowed-out husks in her wake. Adriana was frustrated. It took her 2 weeks to find out who the holdouts were, but when she did, she thought about how it would feel to hurt them. She learned everything about the directors, stalked their every move, manipulated them into attending a conference in Switzerland. And while on a retreat in the Alps, she made her move. Inspired by the skull merchant and feeling something within demanding expressions, she tracked them with a prototype drone and brutally dismembered them with a cruel two-bladed weapon. The rush of emotion and adrenaline was unlike anything she had ever experienced before, and the company was hers. Thus began an unsettling cycle, swooping in on a business, destroying everyone that stood in her way, and gut the company for maximum profit. She targeted companies with larger-than-life CEOs and hoped one would present a challenge, but none ever did. They just disappeared unremarkably. An aggressive manager of a fireworks company known as Survival Tours was her last target, right in the home of Brazil. Survival Tours, a perfect cover. Adriana lured them in to a decommissioned airship hangar. The hunt started at dawn and went the distance, with her still tracking him well into the evening. Locating him, she used one of her drones to direct him to a dead end when a pair of kites suddenly appeared on the camera, and the feed died. Her face hardened. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she slammed her laptop shut and charged to where the drone had crashed. She found her prey, reaching out to someone in the dark for help. Witness. Not part of the plan. Oh, so the witness is dead now? Is that what you're saying? This is now canon? Not part of the plan. Without a second to lose, she plunged her blade through his stomach, exposing meat and bone and a dying heart. The vitiated body... It's not viscerated because there's no R. The vitiated body... They staggered to the left and right, sending a shower of red over the green foliage. As her victim collapsed with a thud, she turned to the young witness. Wrong place, wrong time. They broke into a sprint. She gave chase, her blades thirsting for more blood. The lush green of the trees melted into a thick black fog. Real life warped into something else. Her comic book. Or her father's comic book. A sick grin crept across her face as she rushed forward to begin a new chapter in her life. Now, let's read about these drones. Eyes in the Sky. Inspired by the dark mangas created by her father, the Skull Merchant relentlessly hunts her prey using the latest in surveillance technology. The Skull Merchant starts the trial with 4 drones. Press the power button to deploy a drone. While active, the drone creates a detection zone around itself. Within this zone, the killer is undetectable and survivors gain lock-on progress. When no survivor is detected for a while, the drone begins a sweeping scan. If this scan finds a survivor, the drone becomes active. Survivors can hack drones to disable them. Failure activates the drone and immediately fulfills the lock-on meter. Success returns the drone to its killer, but 6 the survivor with a claw trap. A claw trap broadcasts the survivor's location to the killer until its battery dies. Survivors with a claw trap activate nearby drones, and the drone recharges the battery trap. The claw trapped survivors may remove their trap when the battery is empty. Special ability Radar. Press the ability button to open a radar to see the locations of survivors with claw traps. Okay, so this is kind of like something I suggested a long time ago with, like, the ability to set up traps and kind of lock down areas of the map with traps. I guess this is a way to do it. While using radar, target a drone to manually activate it or recall it. So special effects lock on. The lock on meter fills up when inside the drone's detection zone. It immediately is fulfilled when failing to disable a drone or when full. When full, the survivor is revealed by killer instinct, while the drone is revealed by killer instinct while near active drones, and suffers from the exposed status effect until the meter depletes outside the detection zone or when they are put into the dying state. Okay. So, perk 1 is Thwack. Your prey is terrified by your relentless pursuit. After hooking your survivor, this perk activates. The next breakable wall or pallet you break will make survivors within 32 meters scream while their aura and reveal their aura for 4 seconds. So, hooking a survivor, then you break a wall, then you can see their auras if they're within 32 meters. Leverage. Like in business, you profit most when those around you suffer most. Each time you hook a survivor, gain 1 token. Okay. When you hook a survivor, this perk activates for 30 seconds. For each token, interesting. For each token, reduces the speed at which. So for 30 seconds, their healing speed is reduced up to 50%. Right? Okay. I love this one. That's a great option. Because it encourages the killer to actually hook people, unlike what I do sometimes. Okay, a game afoot. First, pick your prey, then you pick it apart. While you are chasing the obsession, this perk activates. Damaging generators and breaking walls or pallets gives you a 5% haste status for 10 seconds. Whenever you hit the survivor with the most total time in chase with a basic attack, they become the obsession. Okay, so you can effectively use this with Rancor to bully one survivor, is basically what I'm getting. Well, let's go ahead and hop into a game as the killer to start off. So let's open this up and pull her character in. And start the blood web. I will get it up to enough where we can unlock all the perk slots. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're at level 10, which is now 3 slots. So I think what I want to do is just put her thwack. It was... What was it? Leverage and something pursuit. Yeah, a game afoot. Okay, so then we're gonna put on something that gives us blood points and while in a drone's active zone, gain 2% haste. Okay, sure. We'll just do the highest 2 perks and then we'll hit the play and I will be back. Kind of surprised, to be honest. I was expecting to see the new characters, but that's okay. I'm sure some people were just not expecting it to happen right now. Also, in-game, just like normal. Actually, you know what? For this game, I think I have the game at minus 15% volume, and that way we can kind of like talk about it. Um, you know what? No, I'm going to turn the volume all the way back up, and it'll be a silent commentary from now on. Until we go in and it'll just be the three games. Then we'll do Thalita, and then we're gonna do Renato, and then I'll do a little closeout because it's a special video for a release. But yeah, I'll see you guys when we start the game. Did that cleansing sound sound like Link to anybody else from Zelda? Just saying. Yeah. Dang, they did a huge update to Mother's Dwelling. It's much nicer now. Just saying. Well, that was the Skull Merchant, Th- Thalia? Thalia? Thalita? And Renato. We got Adept on all three. We got Adept on the killer and both of the new survivors. Read all of the description or the backgrounds. Looked at all the perks. Looked at all the outfits. And I hope you enjoyed. If you made it all the way to the end, the giveaway should be going on until about 24 hours after the release date. Or actually, I guess it should only only be yeah. Yeah, we'll do 24 hours after I publish the video, just so that way it gives everybody the opportunity to come over here and check it out, and then yeah, we'll give people the time to look at it and see if they're interested. Yeah. In the future, though, it'll probably be at the time of release for the video. So keep that in mind for the future. Being generous this time with the time. I kind of want to reward people for being in the community, even though it's not super active. People are there when you want to talk about stuff. And I don't know. I just hope that it eventually grows into something bigger, where more people can help each other. But for now, I will see you later. I gotta get this video set up and going. So, bye bye.